I'm Jolyon Allen. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in the insurance industry for 21 years, and I've actually been an insurance underwriter, claims adjuster, auditor, and an agent during that time. So I've seen all sides of insurance and love the industry, very devoted to the insurance industry, but I am first and foremost an entrepreneur and an investor, above all. So insurance has been very, very good to me. I have zero complaints about that. I've built a pretty decent business empire in the 21 years in insurance, not all of it necessarily in actual insurance. While building my career in insurance, I've built a real estate portfolio. We have a property and casualty insurance agency, my Medicare agency. We have a really decent rental portfolio, a gun store. We do investments into outside properties for our agents. All of those things are running side by side. And I'm a firm believer that business is business. The rules are the same no matter what business you're going into, and how you set up and structure your business is the same whether it's a construction company or an insurance agency. So that's what my focus is going to be on with you today, is just the business building skills that it takes to run a successful agency. So I have spent many years being very hands-on in insurance, and I'm at that phase in my life where I'm buying back my time by assigning other people to take on roles in the agency and running parts of the business that I don't even handle anymore. I haven't written a PNC policy in 10 years, but I own a PNC agency. So the top picture here is Team Colorado. We've added about 5 or 6 people since that photo, but that's one of our teams. We have some in other states as well. And I spend a lot of time training those agents. But the next picture you'll see is one of our buildings. In Colorado alone, I have 9 of those. So one of the things that I really encourage you all to do is to look at real estate as a way for you to diversify your business, shelter yourself from taxes. Without owning real estate, I would pay about $100,000 more a year in taxes. Real estate is insurance agents' best friend. So if you're not into it, consider it. And if you think you don't qualify, I can actually stand here and tell you every single one of you could go buy a multi-unit property tomorrow. The only thing holding you back is either negative thinking or lack of information. If you're an insurance agent and you don't know what a DSCR loan is, you should. A DSCR is a debt service coverage ratio loan. What that means is if you buy a multi-unit property from 2 to 4 units, and the units they can cover the cost of the building in rent, you don't have to even prove income. So it's a debt service coverage ratio. As an insurance agent, that means that particular building's 2 units in the front, 2 in the back. It grosses about $6,000 a month. The expenses are about $4,000, including everything, property taxes, payment, the whole 9. So that building's coming out about $2,000 a head. And my money's not tied up in it. And you don't have to be a 10 or 15-year established agent to do that. We help agents do this all the time that are just a few years in the business or even in their first year. And if you guys have young people that are trying to break into the residential world, DSCRs work on the residential side as well. So if you're in your 20s and you want to actually get into real estate without buying some $500,000 home, you can use that hack to get in and have a rental property, own it for a few years, and then get into a single-family home. So many people right now are so anti-landlords, and at the end of the day, you can't beat them, so you may as well join them and build an income stream for your family. I have changed my focus to building a legacy. I've accomplished to the point that I can walk away tomorrow and not work the rest of my life and still live a very nice lifestyle. But I'm not going to do that because you'll see the 2 young men in that photo are my sons. They're in their 20s, and I want to leave this to them. Whether they like it or not. No, I'm kidding. No, they actually both work in the industry. They both have insurance and risk management degrees, and they came back home thanks to COVID. So they are both on hand in the agency, but my goal is to actually have this thing be around long after I'm gone. So that's how it's all structured and set up. They were literally homeschooled in my insurance agency. So, and then went on, and we're a big pro-education family, and the 3 of us in that photo have 6 college degrees between us. I will harp on you to the end of days to continue learning. If you're an insurance agent and you didn't get the opportunity to go to college, go to ebc.org, Edward, so E, and then B like boy, C like Charlie.org. You can actually take a ton of college classes on any topic you want to learn at absolutely no cost to you. So continue learning. It's one of the things that you can do to help your business, because as business owners, at the end of the day, the buck stops with us always. And it doesn't matter if it's bookkeeping or accounting or marketing or lead generation, it's always on our shoulders. And there's courses by big name colleges all on there for free that you guys can access. The other portion of my time is spent running a lot of different groups. So I ran Pueblo Business Women for 15 years to help women in business actually get their business structured properly. And this is a group, the photo down here is a group of agents, or actually business owners, that specifically work with senior-oriented businesses. And I help them structure their businesses. We work on getting grants. We obtain a ton of grant funding that goes specifically to seniors in our area. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is obviously structuring this business as an actual business. And one of the reasons being, independent insurance agents, the attrition rate, this is a very tough industry to be successful in. 30% of agents who come into our industry quit in the first 90 days. And it's because our industry has a big problem with focusing on what they call pre-work. The average length of time it takes to start a small business is 1 year. So they're doing a year of planning and prep work before the business is even operational one day. The average length of time in the insurance industry is 6 weeks. We go into our industry winging it, at best. We don't put a lot of emphasis on actually forming a credible business. So most of us are so worried about obtaining our license and learning skills to sell a product that we forget to actually set up our business in the first place. Agents then realize 2 to 3 years in that they missed a lot of things, don't have a credible business, and their business is more likely to fail because they haven't structured it correctly to obtain capital or to weather things like COVID or to purchase a building. They didn't have any of those things put in place, and it's very hard to add them the longer you wait. 88% of insurance agents quit in the first 3 years, and 91% in the first 5. The ones that fail between 3 and 5 years, it's almost always due to lack of business planning. They've got the skills. They made it 3 years in. They fell apart in 3, 4, and 5 because they couldn't master cash flow and the credibility factors of a business. So 9% are the survivors. So if you've been in the business for longer than 5 years and you made it, you are in the 9%. If we look at the 5-year fail rate of the entire insurance industry, not just including Medicare and life, because that's the way they segment it, and you add in property and casualty agents, it's at 90% fail out. But the small business number is actually only 52%. So why is it that the small business industry as a whole is more likely to survive than the insurance industry. That one's on us. When you're doing a small business, 90% of them have to come up with funding. And in order to obtain funding, they have to have a bank approve a loan. So in order to get a bank loan, they have to do a business plan. They have to do a market segmentation. They have to do a competition segmentation. There's things that they have to do in order to obtain funding. And those things make them anticipate the reasons they would fail. So when insurance agents fail, it's 9 times out of 10, one of those things was lacking. And the rest of the business world is forced to do them because they need to obtain capital, whereas the primary source of funding an insurance agency is personal credit cards. So you didn't have to sit down with yourself and have a business meeting and planning sector. You actually just were like, well, my Visa has a $7,000 limit. I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot. So why they fail? Just being a strictly commission-based business increases the odds of failure. But that's not the only thing, because straight commission businesses fail 75% of the time. So that's more than 52%, but it's still less than the 91% insurance is failing at. So it's not just the commissions. Definitely doesn't help. But then we've got unrealistic expectations. So many of us go out there and recruit, and we tell them all the good things, all the wonderful things about being a successful insurance agent, and we forget to tell them all the years we struggled and the long hours we worked and the rejection we faced. We leave a lot of that stuff out. So when you're bringing new people on, if you don't want to waste time with people that are not going to be successful in this industry in the first place, don't give them the sugar-coated version. The other issue, the majority of people coming into insurance are coming from a W-2 job and have not had any prior business insurance. They have no idea what they're walking into, and they're expecting a W-2 setup. So if you have agents who are just constantly calling you, they want 100% training from you, they're looking for leads, they want the office to sit in, it's because they're still stuck in a W-2 mindset. And then most people are used to biweekly pay. Surviving on inconsistent income is a skill all in itself. Not blowing your AEP funds is a skill all in itself. I always have to coach agents because AEP money comes, and in my office I make jokes about it, but I call it boob job and new car season. Because that's what happens in January and February when they haven't been properly coached. They go out and do things they normally wouldn't do because they have the cash to pay for it, but they're not looking at reinvesting back into the business. So a lot of them too, they're expecting a full roadmap. They want the checklist that says you did step 1, now go do step 2, now go do step 3. And this business is messy. Our roadmaps don't look like step 1, 2, and 3. And they have a lack of hands-on training. Bare minimum, I always tell agents, you're brand new to me until you've written 100 apps, and you shouldn't be coaching anyone until you've written 500. That's our expectation. Don't come to me asking recruiting until you have 500 on the books. The other issue is lack of structure. We have tons of information out there now. When I got in the business 21 years ago, there was no such thing as YouTube videos and Facebook groups. We have a lot of information, but we don't actually have structure in place to make sure that they haven't lost part of the training along the way. There's very little accountability, and there's no consistency from agency to agency. And the biggest issue that we face is what we call a low barrier to entry. Other businesses spend a year in planning. We take 6 weeks, and we have no required business planning or training. If you haven't taken the time to work on your actual business setup, there are organizations out there that will help you do this for free. You all should have a small business development co near you. They will help you set up LLCs. They'll help you do your business plan at no cost. There's one in almost every county in the United States. If you haven't taken advantage of them, find the one closest to you. So one of the things with working with agents is I find most of them come in and they're on a three-legged stool. When you first come into the business, you may have sales skills, but you don't have the product knowledge and you have no business skills. So you're trying to balance on one leg of a three-legged stool. And that is a surefire way to fall on your ass. And that's why 91% of us fail. You have to get to at least the second leg so you have a chance of balancing before you even have the remote possibility of being successful. So if you're looking at any of those three legs and you're thinking, oh, I got one, but I am definitely missing the other two, or I've got two and I'm missing the third, your goal is to actually get to that third stool where you have all three successful segments: product knowledge, sales skills, and business skills. Because you cannot have any of those areas be weak and expect your business to survive any sort of major upturn. And we found that in COVID. There was a lot of businesses that were doing really well and they failed under COVID because they couldn't pivot and they didn't have the capital to pay someone else to help them pivot. So if you're on a two-legged stool, work your hardest to get to that third. If you've made it to 5 years and you're well past the six-figure mark, you probably are fairly close to the three-legged stool. You might be a little wobbly, but you can at least still stay standing.
This video is sponsored by none other than Hire Heroes, you guys. Hire Heroes should be at the top of your list when considering your virtual assistant needs. Let's face it, today, hiring employees and hiring staff for your business is harder than ever and more expensive than it's ever been before. And when you're a new up-and-coming business in particular, or even if you're an established business, sometimes the squeeze of the financials of hiring somebody stateside can be incredibly challenging. What Hire Heroes brings to you is an ability to tap into their best of the best team members that you can plug into your business for very affordable prices. One thing about finding and hiring VAs completely on your own is it can get a little sketchy because you don't always know who you're getting and who's working for you. The great thing also about Hire Heroes is they've gone through and done the work for you of vetting the people that you're going to be working with, and the people that you are assigned are only the best of the best and the shining examples of excellence within the company. So you know you're getting top tier talent and you don't have to go through any of the time or headache of vetting people and trying out multiple people to get there. There's a link down in the description so you guys can learn more about Hire Heroes and getting help for your business today.
So one thing I want to give you guys, a lot of you know I have a content deal with a gigantic online platform. So they don't always let me give my content out. I had to get permission to give this to you, which is why I don't have a QR code on it. It took me a little while to get their permission. If you email info@AIS Medicare and More, you can have a free copy of our Credit Builder course. This is stage 1. And what this walks through is the 20 things you need to do to actually have a legal, credible, fundable business. And I know you guys just heard 20 and were like, oh heck no, I'm not doing that. Most of those things are a matter of minutes to accomplish. We just included them so you don't overlook one little detail. Everything that's included in that list comes from years of me working with funding for businesses, because one thing you'll find, while there is a lot of uniform laws in establishing personal credit, there are very few laws in how a bank can decide to fund you or not. So the 20 things I have on this list is from sitting down with business bankers, asking them, what are your credibility checklists including? And I took all of those things and put them into this guide. So not every bank's gonna want all 20, but some of them, like a professional email. I actually have a business bank I work with that if you have a Gmail, you're an automatic decline. Something so petty and simple, basically to them means your business is not legitimate or credible. So why focus on the business skills? Building business planning into the first year, it puts a plan in place to survive the lean times. We don't always address that. We give them a lot of the pie in the sky, but we don't tell them, how do you get through those lean years? It puts the responsibility on the agent that this is a business and not a job. And that's a huge mindset shift, and it's hard for a lot of people, especially if they've never owned a business. It gives the agent the mindset needed to take accountability for their success. It's not your FMO's job to make you successful. It's just their job to give you the tools. It gives the agents the ability to obtain business funding, provides legal protection in the event of a liability. We experience liability all the time. We're all out driving our cars to appointments. Half of you guys have those lovely magnets on the side of your car and aren't properly insured for them, but having that on the side of your car increases your odds of being sued 7-fold. Because you're a business owner, and to the general population, business owners have what? Money, right? So if you're sticking your name on the side of your car, you might want to make you have proper insurance in place so you don't go bankrupt over it. I'm helping a young guy right now who got a liability case, E&O issue on excess charges. We rarely see that stuff. And he gave the wrong advice. This person had a doctor listed that charges excess charges. He sold him a plan in. The guy went in for his appointment over a year later, got hit with excess charges. Something that simple. But he had disclosed the doctor, so it's the agent's fault. We don't mean to, but we all expose ourselves to liability just owning a business and walking through the world. Established businesses gain credibility and appear more professional. That's one of the reasons I own 9 office buildings, is to appear more credible in my market. It puts agents in the best position to take advantage of opportunities, and it allows the agent to build online credibility. One thing that I'm very proud of is 60% of my brand new agents survived to 5 years. It's way higher than the industry's 9%. Now, I will admit, some of that's at my own detriment. There's some of them that will even admit to you I drug them kicking and screaming to success because I had a problem letting them fail. And I'm at my highest, that was at 68%. And that was one of the very first conversations that Christian Brindle and I had, was what that 68% was doing to me personally. And I've gotten it down to 60%. Only 32% of my transfer agents survived 5 years. I went the first 13 years in business not accepting anyone's transfer agents. And I still to this day will only accept transfers under 2 years in, because I cannot break bad habits and I can't rebuild your business you didn't build right in the first place. It takes too much work. So if they're too far in, I'm just not gonna do it to myself, because I'm too much of a perfectionist to watch them struggle. So I'm only at 32%, still better than 9%, but I can't fix them. And it's hard to retrain people that have gone down the wrong path. I can only do so much. I'm not allowed to put a shock collar on them. So it's only so much I can do. So they do tend to fail out. So I mentioned the 20 steps. Don't let the 20 steps scare you or overwhelm you. When I say this 20 steps, this can be done in less than a week. I know it can, because for years, that's how I taught this class. I did a 5-day class, and you came in, and from day 1 to day 5, you built your business and had business credit up and running by the time you left. So I know you can do it in 5 days, but the majority of you will drag it out as long as humanly possible. So what you want to do is just start at the top and work down the list. First of all, choose and file your business name. There's important things there. They throw new rules at us, like, oh my gosh, Medicare, things like that. But you want to make sure that you have your business name filed, and that the business name you file matches on every single document you do for your business. On your bank account, on your website, on your trade name registration, on your LLC registration, it all needs to match perfectly. If you have a primary business with a DBA, that needs to be included too. Then you decide who's legally going to be part of your business. Is your spouse legally going to be part of your business? Are your kids? Is your partner or best friend? Who's legally part of the business? Then you decide what type of entity it's going to be. The only entities that are not able to obtain business credit, true business credit not attached to their Social Security, are sole proprietors and straight up partnerships not attached to an LLC. So if you're a sole proprietor, the only type of funding you can get for your business is on your personal credit. It's your own credit. It's your Social Security number. When you fund your business on your personal Social Security number, it affects your ability to buy a home, refinance your home, buy a car. So you want to make sure if the expenses that funding is taken care of are strictly for your business, that those are tied to an EIN number, not your social. You want to designate a registered agent in the state you're filing in. That can be you. If you're registered in your home state, you can just be yourself. If you're registering in a state that's more business friendly, then you're going to need a designated agent in that state. You have to do your articles of incorporation. We've had a lawyer basically put all of ours together, and you can plug and play the information pretty easily. File for an EIN. One thing with filing for an EIN, there are a ton of con artists out there that will try to charge you, and there's a whole bunch of websites. The true website for an EIN comes up like 6 websites down because there's a whole bunch of them trying to charge you to do it for you. If you're paying money to get an EIN, you're doing it wrong. Business address, no home addresses allowed. You don't want your home address on your business. First of all, it all gets put out online. It's public knowledge. Anyone can look it up. People can come to your home, which includes customers and creditors. So never register a business to your home. You either want to have a brick and mortar or you want to do a virtual business office address. There's tons of places that will let you have a P.O. box for your business. So then the next step is really legitimizing the business. Opening a separate bank account with the matching name. You want to make sure it's in the business name. And one of the biggest things with opening a business bank account is you want to choose your business bank wisely. Big banks don't care about small business. If you're at a gigantic national bank, ask them what their definition of small business is. Because I was at a big bank that was the blue one and another one that was the red one, and they told me their small businesses are considered $1 million to $5 million in revenue. So if you're under $1 million and you're at the big blue, they don't care about you. You need to actually diversify your business banking. You want one local carrier, one very local bank. The small bank, if you go to them and you ask them how they decide on their business funding, you want them to say, oh, we have a committee on Friday. We call them the itty-bitty banking committees. We love them. Those are your people because they make the decision on your funding internally. They're not having to go through your whole life story, DNA, and possibly signing over your first child. You want to be able to give them a short packet, and they make a decision. With those banks, you can buy favor with deposits. So there's a lot you can do with the little bitty banking committees. Then you want to have a credit union. And then if you want to have a big bank account because it's convenient for you, great. But you want to actually have those things spread out across multiple banks. Because a lot of times, if you have more than one entity, so like I have my PNC agency, it's an entity. My Medicare agency is another entity. My multifamily real estate are all separate entities. If you keep all your eggs in one basket, they can see where your business funding is. So they can limit your business funding on, say, your Medicare agency because, in their opinion, you're maxed out on your rental side. So you want to keep those separate with separate banks so they can't control your finances. If you're eligible, you want to be eligible. You don't want them to look at the entire picture because they know that you're attached to all of those LLCs. So some of these seem outdated and a little silly. So you look at, okay, find your NAIC code. That's pretty easy for insurance. But get listed on 411. I didn't do that until a business bank told me they won't lend to anyone not on 411. I thought that was dead. And banks can choose to be old-fashioned. So if you're not on it, get on 411. I have another business bank that we work with that will not give you a loan if you don't have an 800 number. I'm sure the guy's like 70 and he's decided those are still important. Doesn't matter. You can think it's stupid, but if it's on a bank's checklist, do it. What does it cost you to put an 800 number in? Mine's $4.99. Obtain your domain name. Even if you have just a simple one-page website, put it in place, because if you're not online, many business banks nowadays, they care more about you being online, even if it's a simple one-page website. Establish with Google or Bing and get on Yelp. And like I said, we do all of these in a 5-day course. We just sit down and basically knock them all out. Most of these things take a matter of minutes, if you know how to do them. And then get ready to be scrutinized. You want to get a professional company email, make sure all names match, obtain business licenses for your city and state. A lot of agents just totally skip that. Set up your business Facebook page. And then if you want to obtain any business credit at all, you put your personal credit on a credit freeze. Call and add the credit freeze, because a bank will always use your social security number if you let them. Because what's better for them? If it's attached to your personal credit and your business credit, or just your business credit? If the app asks for your social, they're going to try to attach it to both. So always put a personal credit freeze on anytime you apply for business credit. Make sure they're using your EIN. And then apply for your DUNS number. Who in here has a DUNS number? Hey, some of you guys do. Most of the agents I talk to don't. A lot of them that have been through my courses are like, all right, we got a DUNS number, or maybe you know it as a PAYDEX score. I always know who's lying to me about business credit, because I'm like, hey, what's your DUNS number? And they'll be like, mine's like 742. No, that's not how it works. That's personal credit. Your PAYDEX score is 0 to 100. The first time I saw mine and it said 88, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know credit scores went that low. And then I found out it was out of 100, and I was like, oh, okay, not so bad. Dun & Bradstreet operates DUNS numbers. You also will see PAYDEX is a real common indicator. The thing with business credit is you can build it so much faster and with such higher limits than personal credit. You can build a decent business credit score in 45 days. You can do a lot. One other trick, if you don't have an LLC just sitting on the shelf waiting for you to use it, you're missing out. Those of you who want to take advantage of opportunities in front of you, we have LLCs. I have 4 or 5 that I'm not actively using, but later I'm going to plug real estate or something into it, because on my score, they don't go by the date I started up, they go by the date I founded it. So I can look like a 4 or 5 year LLC when I've put it together last week. So if you have aspirations of building something in the future, form that little side single member LLC now. And then you start applying for business credit. Even if you don't think you want business credit, do this anyway, because a day may come when your back's against a wall, and this is the only thing that saves your business. You don't want to have to refinance your house or take out all personal loans or cash out your 401k because you didn't have these steps set up. This is the difference between businesses making it and businesses failing. And it is something you truly could sit down and do in a week. All of you have the guide. This is the very fast and dirty version, the short version of those 20 steps. They're spelled out more in that guide. And that's step 1. We go from there into all sorts of things like building out your business structures, organization charts on holding companies, trusts, all of those things. I do not give personal tax advice, and I don't give personal legal advice. If you want it, I have all of those contacts. But we do sit down and actually spend a lot of time together when I do the face-to-face classes. I just don't have time to do them as much as we used to. So I want to give you guys all the guide. If you email me for the information, I will reply back with the guide and also an invite to the Facebook group that is specifically for these 20 steps. So you can ask those of us who have been through it and those of us going through it for advice. Inside that group, there's lots of things like, oh gosh, all the places to obtain business credit. Everything you do in your business can be financed. There's a finance company out there right now for leads, building your website, and they'll report for your business credit. So everything that touches your business is able to be purchased by your business instead of your personal credit card. So all of that information is found in the Facebook group. I just encourage you guys to consider business building, that third leg of the stool, to be equally important as sales skills and product knowledge. And I thank you guys for listening and being attentive this entire time, and look forward to sending you this guide. If you have any questions, make sure to post them in the Facebook group and we can all help each other get this done.